Mark, hello, this is KT0 bringing you an I3 commentary here on Fire Island. And I'm sorry, but I have to express my frustration of failing to record videos into my archive drive. I've been trying it all day and I don't know how many times I failed, but it's just frustrating, straight up. To the point where I had to clear up some of the data from my project. So for some of you who don't know, I did have to do a project which occupied a large amount of my hard drive space. That was the main reason why I was gone for extremely long time, and I had to clear up some of that, and now I have 26 gigs of free space here. God, I hope that's enough. And without any further ado, let's get into this game. And today we have a Soviets versus Allies game afoot, and hailing from the top side of the map in a stylish color of purple is going to be our Soviet player. Goes by the name of Tingu, who I remember playing Empire. I don't know why he do the change there, but never mind. And from the bottom half of the map is going to be our orangey Allies player, going by the name of X close bracket Dingo. God, those names are confusing. I can just see myself getting those names wrong at least once in this cast, but that is no matter, since I do my mistakes every now and again, in fact quite often. And it seems that the opening for our Soviet player would be straight away tagging into the war factory there. Not completely, but I did say that he just used the barracks to produce an engineer, and then so they're straight up into a war factory here, try to just expecting airplay and having scouted the airplay, the Blue Frogs are just expected response, I suppose, and the engineer will be protected quite nicely by the Soviet player. They're occupying the all directs very handily, just giving him that much an edge, and very smart turret placement there right at the center of the map. In fact, it's not a dead center, but it's the center of his side of the choke, so any kind of a push or any kind of harassment, terrorism run-bys, bears will be passing by this area, being spotted by the Torres here, and giving him this much of a buffer, giving him this much time to respond. And indeed the production, aside from the airfield from the Allies player, seems to be the boot camp at the center of the map here, producing infantry, just giving him just enough ground support for him to build a nice and early air force. Or indeed he's moving his MCV. Is he going to expand? Yes, he is. Yes, indeed he is going to expand into a fourth refinery here, but his opponent already has a fourth refinery, so the Soviet player is well ahead in terms of the refinery count here. The question is now, can he translate that into a large enough army to take on his opponent's head on, and do the accumulation, do the math correct to do. Oh, I'm sorry, but I was completely wrong here. There was actually the third refinery from the Soviet player here. He was electing to go for the waterside expansion first, then the center. So the difference in the expansion timing of the two players is actually negligible here. So both players are now on 4 refineries without any semblance of a large army whatsoever. So I would say the two players are looking to play straight up big macro games. Spectacular, good for spectators like myself and every other audience as well. And indeed we are going to be seeing a few minor engagement here. One of the Blue Fox trying to join his comrades, but getting caught off guard by those vindicators here, and also getting caught off guard is the prospector for the Allies player, being infected by the terror drone here, is going to die a horrible death, killed by his comrades to prevent any further infection of the terror drone. And is the Soviet player going to tag? Indeed he has tagged to tier 2 here with a super reactor, so now his tank production is going to start here, and the boost can has been sold. We will just have to see where does the Allies player decide to invest his money in, and now it seems it's going to be into the cryocopter here, looking to do a form of aerial harassment. I was making up words there. Aerial harassment from the skies, and indeed on this map is quite a good idea, since you do have this area here whereby your air force and particularly the cryocopters, just can harass the miner all day and being untouched unless your opponents decide to risk his army to get to these two positions and try to take out the cryocopters in the air. And indeed, the Soviet player, being smart, is not going to take that risk. He's going to transition into air himself and building mech fighters, and indeed the air force of the Allies player is going to be repelled there by the unexpected mech fighters. I don't really see much anti-air on the field, at least I don't think, and the Allies player, very interestingly, is not electing to build up any form of Apollo air-to-air combat force yet, so the air superiority, I would say, is firmly in the hand of the Soviet player for the time being. And indeed, one ACV just moved into harassment, not really that big of a deal, but he did deny quite a bit of mining time for the Soviet player here, so I suppose the Soviet player was slowed down by that much. Very nicely played. Just some free harassment, I would say. Even traded with one ACV to a slight delay in your opponent's mining here. A even trade by both of these players here, and one bear getting ready to scout the refinery. I would assume what prompts the decision of leaving a bear here is simply that he's going to be sneaking out the expansion, having, yeah, indeed, he does have a crusher core at the center here, so he can't build structures while his MCV is mobile, and the MCV is going to be moving to the 11 o'clock to try to take the expansion here, and at the same time he's going to be putting up some form of pressure, trying to take out a precautionary and warning turrets at the left land of the map here. But very nice positional play by the Allies player here, doing the cryo beam from space and cut off the retreat route for the hammer tanks. And one hammer tank did get taken out by those Guardians tanks here. And now both armies are going back to the centers. Neither of the players wants to lose to a surprise push through the center directly to your main production structure at the center and take out your map control along with the center refinery there. So the two armies are now positioned, although I would give the army advantage to the Allies players here, since he does have a large amount of Guardian tanks, very substantial infantry support, and 2 cryocopters in the air. And the air force of the Allies faction is just ever so dominant, so the advantage definitely going to Allies player at this moment. And it's all going to be coming down to the decision making and the maneuver, the micro here. And indeed, the decision from the Allies player seems, for the moment, is going to be pressuring his opponents from the right land, but the Soviet players all over that is going to be moving his army into position to defend against that with a large amount of tanks, substantial anti-air, and a large amount of infantry with 3 Tesla troopers, just so deadly for the tanks. And he's now moving back his army, since he does decide to commit from the right lane. Now the Allies player is going to be moving through the center here, but oh, he's going to get pincer here. The Soviet player moving his tank from the south to try to get his opponent's tank out of position to catch his entire army at the center of the map. Without support, he's going to get crushed by the 2 forces from both sides. But the Allies player, having phenomenal decision making, is going to be retreating safely to his side of the troke, repelling the tank force, the special ops, so to say, from the Soviet players here, killing 1 or 2 hammer tanks in the process. Very nicely played by the Allies player here. And indeed, having failed that pincer, I would say if the pincer did succeed, it would be such a spectacular sight. My god, these 2 players are just strategically brilliant. And now the 11 o'clock expansion is going to be scouted by the Allies player here. So the Air Force, I would assume, is going to be moving in to do some form of harassment, since the Apollo fighters is trying to secure the air dominance at this particular area here. But the surface to air anti-air force is going to be moving into position to defend against that, and not having a second airfield. The Allies player does not have a direct counter from the air to the Bruffox there, given the brute force number, but what he does have is the mobility of the Air Force, so quick move in to destroy one of the miners at the center here. Very nicely played by the Allies player, but also nicely played is the Soviet player. Sneaky tech change to the naval yard here, abusing the tech tree of the Soviet faction, just producing one Aquila sub, nothing else, to trying to take out his opponent's waterside expansion here. Yeah, the Aquila sub would be able to take one turret out quite handily, and one miner just going to be, well, dead instantly given the firepower, but also is going to be dead instantly is the miners from the Soviet player being beamed to death. But the Mirage tanks, although shrunk but still very deadly at the 11 o'clock here, and also moving at the same time to the center is the cryocopters and the polos. I'm going to be destroying the crusher cranes and trying to take out the 2 Kirovs in the air there, but doing so unsuccessfully. And the V4 is now, is it a V3 or the V4? V4 rocket launcher is on the field trying to take out some of the tanks using the aerial damage here, but the Soviet player is all harassing from the back here, so the Allied player is not microing as well as she should be. His tank force is getting wrecked by the Kirovs from the air. His entire tank force is getting wrecked here. My God, move your tanks! Oh my God, the tank force of the Allies player was completely demolished by the 2 Kirovs in the air here, and now the Allies force is going to be pushed all the way back, and even then it's going to be flanked by the tank force. The majority of the ground force was actually moving from the left at the same time the harassment and the Kirov attack was happening, and now the Allies army is going to get completely trapped and completely crushed by everything from the ground here, aside from the Air Force that is in the air. The cryocopters still doing a good job of freezing the infantry to try to take out some of the firepower powers, but my God, the damage has been done. 1 refinery taken out, 2 refinery taken out, all the miners are gone, both the boost camps and the armor facility is gone. So the production, even if the Allies player does have the army to rebuild, he cannot rebuild the units that he needs so desperately straight away, simply due to the fact that his production is completely taken out there. The only thing that's left for him is the airfield, and even that is now threatened by the flake troopers here, using their mines to try to take out structures so very quickly. And at the same time, the ground force of the Soviet player is still doing substantial damage. I don't know why the Allies player decided not to take out the Kirov here. It's going to be, I have a feeling that it's going to be a very large mistake of his. But all credits to him, his Air Force is still alive. 2 Vindicators, 2 Apollos, 1 Vindicator and two Apollos are still in the air, so the air dominance is still firmly in his hand. If he cares to move in to destroy Kirovs, my God, Atomic is now going to be destroyed by the Kirov here, doing his last job, serving the great Soviet Union, and the flake trooper moving in to try to take out the cryocopters, but they are not in a very great number, so they're going to be frozen and shot to pieces by the peacekeepers here. But the brute force moving in to defend against the flake troopers as well. The Air Force of the Allies plus getting repelled, and secret protocol being utilized by the Soviet player, poisoning the prospector singular, dislodging him from the mining. My God, very nicely played by the Soviet player here. And now he's 2 refineries, I would assume. Yeah, 2 refineries ahead of his opponent. His opponent's only running on 2, whereas he's running on 4. And he's re-erecting up the one at the center. Now he's going to be 3 refineries ahead, and now the Allies player is desperately trying to get back to this game, trying to use the mobility of his Air Force, recognizing that he cannot take his opponent head on at the moment, and cannot re-expand to the water as well. It's too late for him to do any form of tech change here, and he's going to be moving in with his Air Force. Oh my God, I'm just able to catch my breath just a little bit here, and I'm having a coma. I was cracking left and right, but that's okay because this game is Apex. The 11 o'clock expansion of the Soviet player was just destroyed by the Air Force of the Allies player here, and the entire Air Force was completely out of position, and indeed the entire army was out of position for the Soviet player here. I cannot expect him to re-expand here. He is now holding a commanding lead in his game, having a superior ground army as well as a large economy. So all he has to do now is to prevent the harassment from the air by the Allies player, and he will win the game just by having more stuff. and defend against the harassment to the, well, its predictable position to the right side of the water side expansion here. The Soviet player is going to be moving through the center to his opponent's his opponent's two only remaining refineries, destroying with a V4 rocket launcher. And now the economy of the Allies players is basically gone. And the debris from space is wrecking every infantry on the ground here, and the Allies player just doesn't have an answer to the ground force, the ground push at his front door, and is going to have to GG out of this game. Wow, spectacular play, magnificent tactical maneuver and strategic decision making by the Soviet player here, winning him the game. Nice job, Tingu. This wasn't the replay of the week as I would usually cast, but it's unexpectedly good. That will probably explain why it has this many downloads and this many web as well. So that was me, KT0, bringing you another i3 commentary with a heavily blocked nose and very cracked voice, and a frustration in my mind. Oh my god, not being able to cast game for an extremely long time was such a depressing thing, and trying to record into my archive drive. The plan was good, well, my archive drive was 1 TB, so surely there would be enough space there, but the frame rate was basically 2 frames per second. Those are still pictures, not games being put on played there, so I just could not do that, and I actually removed quite important data from my hard drive there, but well, fuck the reports, I will just cast games all I want. That's all I want to do at the moment, so expect more cast from me as soon as I get my voice recovered. My god, that was an intense battle. I was shouting at the killer of destroying everything on the ground here. That was magnificent. I cannot emphasize it enough. So yeah, I will try to find another replay soon and get back to you guys. KT0 blah 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 blah. KT0 bring you i3 commentaries. Be seeing you next time, and so forth.